shall be live.
Awesome.
We are live. Riaan, welcome.
Hello, Tamrin. So good to be live with you.
Yes, thank you for joining me. And I have been waiting to talk to you for about 2 weeks. If anyone's been watching, I've been talking to a bunch of people who have been in the digital business space for a few years, leading up to the enrollment of my own program, the Freedom Safari. And now I'm talking to people who have been in my programs and who have become a gigantic success. And Riaan is one of those. So Riaan, when we met, which was in 2019, you were living in Bethlehem, far away from the ocean, which you love, working a lot of hours and looking for another way of being. And you were attracted to the Differently message and the Differently community. Let's start there. Let's start with what got you curious about another type of business model, and what were you thinking was or wasn't possible at that point? And then we can jump into talking about all the fabulous things that have happened in the last 3 years since then.
Okay. I think I've always been a bit of a pioneer. I loved, positions where I could do things that I want. And every time I felt stuck, I had this urge to move on. So we moved on to join my father-in-law's bird breeding business in Bethlehem, because we wanted to learn about business, and I had this passion for business. And I thought, well, there's a lot to learn and whatever, and we could potentially have carried on with it after he retired. And then three years in or so, we realized, man, this is not going to work out the way we thought it was going to work out. And we had the chat with him and all that stuff. And that became a massive driving force. And I was looking at so many random things like t-shirt print on demand business or affiliate marketing, or I had so many things swimming around in my head, but I knew I needed to do something, and the best option was online. So I became kind of obsessed with watching YouTube videos, and I thought, maybe if I start a blog and I monetize it, or maybe if I try this, or maybe if I try that. But and I also bought your Airbnb course. So I was thinking, what if I can start and manage an Airbnb, So I had all these different things I was exploring at the time.
And then I launched my program, the Freedom Safari. Back then it was called V-Stars. And the reason it was called V-Stars is it's an acronym for the virtual skills and tools to have amazing reach. And that remains true today. And long story short, yourself and your wife, Mandy, became founding members in that coaching program and began the journey of actually implementing the stuff that you had been learning about. I think I remember you typing some feedback or testimonial at the end saying you stayed in the YouTube loop for a long time, and then finally you were ready to take the leap. And tell us a bit about that. What's happened?
Mm-hmm. So I think also coming back to your Differently messaging, it really appealed to me big time, because I was always interested in learning how to live life differently. So it just kind of resonated with me. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that caused us to say, yes, let's take the plunge. And I remember the first call we had, I wasn't a good fit for the program, but then eventually I thought, man, I want to learn about lead generation. And I remember sending you a WhatsApp saying, Tam, I want to learn about lead generation. And that's when things started turning. And, I was also looking at other programs about starting agencies and how to apply the skill of being able to generate leads for businesses, into a business. And from there, making that decision was very easy. You made it very easy for me to decide, that you are the right person for us to guide us through this journey. And I must admit it was hard. Like, we had a lot of mindset ground to cover. We were in a rough place when it came to, I think, mental health, specifically circumstances, and our surroundings were kind of, we really had to rise above a lot of stuff. And I was very thankful for those little chats and the gratitude sessions and the sharing what we're grateful for and making, lists, writing down our goals, listening to audio books. That whole world opened up to me in V-Stars. And it was a major thing for us. And I often make jokes and say, you don't have to join the 5 a.m. club. You don't need to read self-development books to start an online business. But I think that in our case, we really needed to make a lot of shifts mentally, mindset-wise. And that was also where my wife's art journaling membership was born, actually, by using art, because we've got a long journey with art before we even went to Bethlehem. And she started making everything visual in an art journal. She didn't even know what an art journal was back in the day, even though it was a thing in certain circles already. But she just applied mindset to art in a journal, and it became such an amazing thing for her. And now her membership is born of that. My agency has been born of that. I remember we started looking for solo clients, and we cold called people, we sent emails, we made them Loom videos about their setup and all that stuff. Like, we had a whole outreach campaign. My wife helped me. We did that in between the work we needed to do on the farm. But it's interesting for me that even though we tried to pick that niche, the niche that picked us was course creation, memberships, people that have group coaching programs and so on. And it just kind of drew me into that world. And I'm still here. That's still what I'm doing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, you do have one solo client,
Yes.
but otherwise you focus on the thing that I focus on. In fact, you were such a dedicated person during that program, despite all the difficulty and, like you say, the serious amount of work that's required, because you've got to learn a whole bunch of technical stuff, although this year's version of that program has done for you tech in it, which is, I think if you haven't started yet, you can't appreciate just how amazing that is. And maybe Mandy can speak to that a little bit, because if she wasn't so overwhelmed with the tech, she would never have started her membership because of using art journaling just to cope with her overwhelm. You were so dedicated in that program and learned the tech so fantastically that once that program was finished, you actually joined my team doing tech for my clients and for me. So I ended up becoming one of your first clients. And I mean, you don't get a better testimony to your skill than the person who's been teaching you actually saying, oh my gosh, I need you to do this for me. So, and then it's just expanded from there. I would say that you're probably one of South Africa's most sought after Facebook ads expert 3 years down the line, because that's what you ultimately ended up focusing on. So tell us about that journey.
Okay. Where did I start? I think the tech stuff came easy for me, but I have to admit it was a little bit of because of procrastinating the cold calling. It was easier for me to build a funnel. And I think that was where my mind was going, like, well, if I can do the marketing in a certain way and get an influx of leads and all that stuff and build a proper funnel, we don't have to do as much cold calling. So my mind was already going that direction into funnels and ads and everything. And that led to an amazing journey, I think, where I always joke with people and say, I never do sales calls. I just have conversations with potential friends, because all my clients become my friends. And that is how I've grown, by building relationships. And a lot of my clients eventually become JV partners, where they refer people to me or I refer people to them. And it's just the way I've been doing things. And it seems to work. And I love Facebook ads. I mean, there's been a lot of disruption in the space, and a lot of big names have left it and say it doesn't work for us anymore, and accounts got shut down and people got off the platform and tried YouTube ads and TikTok and whatever. And I'm still doing it, and I'm feeling that, it still works. So there's really a need. And what I absolutely love seeing, now, I've got some clients that have evergreen funnels and they do, bigger budgets and everything. But what I absolutely love seeing is the little guy, the person who wants to start a course about dog training. I've got a coaching client who does that, language type stuff, mathematics, art journaling like my wife. And it doesn't have to be this major thing, but they are the ones that are currently winning with ads because their leads are super cheap. They get good results. They grow their lists fantastically. They don't have to become these marketers that have to use, persuasion tactics and copywriting. And, they are the ones that are currently doing so well and winning. And that's one of the things that keep me passionate right now, is seeing those results. It's like 2019 type results all over again, or 2020.
Yes.
So,
I mean, it's wonderful that you talk about that, because the kind of person who'd be watching this, it might be someone like Riaan, who's a midwife, or, someone who's got a skill, like they've got their own cleaning business and they're thinking about teaching other people how to start a cleaning business, or someone who knows how to, I don't know, paint nails or decorate cakes, and they want to teach other people how to do that. I have seen literally every single kind of course-based business being launched, either somewhere else in the world or even South Africans doing it. And I love that you mentioned that it doesn't have to be in the business space or the money-making space or some gigantic operation. Your course-based business or your membership-based business can be in any little teaching area, and it can be one of the income streams in your life. I mean, if we look at you and Mandy as a couple, you've got your agency business, which evolved out of V-Stars, and you've got this coaching offer where you coach people in their ads, and that's part of the Freedom Safari with you as someone who's teaching and offering people to work one-on-one with them inside of the Safari, which is amazing. But then you've also got this art journaling membership, and you've got your own membership about ads that's coming in the future. So the same skills used in multiple different ways for these multiple different income streams in your life. And that's really what my vision was when I launched this program in the beginning, is that once you've got these rinse and repeatable skills, like you call them lead generation, the ability to put out a message online, build an audience, and make an offer where you can serve them. I mean, you guys did something that some people would think was nutty, which was the day before lockdown, you left your farm in Bethlehem and your bird feeding jobs and drove to Jeffrey's Bay to take lockdown as a location independent online business owner in a brand new flat in a brand new town with your two sons, because of the confidence, I guess, that you had, that you knew that in this industry you would be able to make it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, when I think back about, how things developed, we really we pushed hard to make it happen. It took a lot of grit. We had to develop grit, but I discovered parts of myself I never knew existed. And Mandy as well, my wife, she really dug deep. And this is significant. I even sold my guitar to help fund the move to Jeffrey's Bay. So it hasn't been this smooth sailing kind of thing. But we were ready to make the move because of the decision we made in 2019. And we always joke, we had to learn to use Zoom a year before everybody had to learn to use Zoom. We were like, what is the Zoom thing? And they're like, we on Zoom now, amazing. And then a year later, everybody's like, Zoom. So it's all about, like, I'm just amazed at the timing of it all, how it all worked out. Literally, our move to Jeffrey's Bay, to bring our stuff, we could bring it with, combined with another move that went to Mossel Bay. And they had space, so they brought our stuff on the 23rd. We would have moved actually the 1st of April, but when they announced the lockdown is starting on, I think it was the 25th or something, we were like, no. We're not getting stuck. Well, our stuff's in J Bay and we are here in Bethlehem. So we spoke to my father-in-law. He said, yeah, that's fine. So we came a week earlier to J Bay. We drove through the night. Literally, we got here and I didn't know where the butchers were. I was driving around town looking for, curtain curtain hooks and I don't know what else, because everything was going to be shut down the next day. But it was, I'm so grateful for the decisions that we made, you know, in 2019, because 2020, it was rough for everyone, but we literally started our business in the lockdown. And, you know, starting a business is not always easy, because I think in our case, it was our only thing. Like if somebody could start it part-time and do what they're doing, and eventually, you know, things can shift. But we were kind of forcing, you know, this has to be the thing that makes the money and covers the bills and does all the things. So it was a complete all or nothing move for us, where most people don't need to have that stress and that intensity to make it work, but we had to. And it worked. It worked.
Which is wonderful. It's miraculous. It's wonderful. And it's really a testament to your courage and your commitment. And like you said, your grit, because I think just the having to pull that off in 2020. I mean, firstly, imagine if you hadn't already had a 6-month runway by then, because obviously the program had started at the second half of 2029. We've been on that journey together. You had actually all the skills already, you know, so it's like pull back the elastic. And when all of that crazy stuff happened in 2020, you were able to make those moves. I mean, what would have happened if you hadn't done that? How do you think things would have been different for you guys?
I've never actually thought about it.
Yeah,
we would probably be stuck there for much longer. But we could possibly still be there, you know, in that same space. And yeah.
And now I see your posts of snorkeling with your kids, and you know, we've had conversations coming up that sometimes even if you have a business that technically has the flexibility that you can go to the beach during the day, oftentimes business owners after 10 or 20 years, or anyone who's been working for 10 or 20 years, just stays in that same working pattern, even if there's nobody forcing you to do it. So, I mean, if you're a complete beginner and you're considering, should I learn these skills? This is going to be like, what are these two crazy people talking about? But if you've got this kind of business model already, the next level of challenge is actually allowing yourself the freedom and the flexibility that you've signed up for. Because if you don't, you end up just, you know, working all day, every day, even if strictly you don't have to. Can you relate to that?
Oh, of course, definitely. It was hard. We were so in a routine on the farm, especially because when you breed with parrots, there's the breeding season and there's the in-between season. And the in-between is in winter. So obviously in Bethlehem is freezing cold. So the days are short. And there's a lot of maintenance things we did. And it was like a 9 to 5, but sometimes you start early in the morning. Like I had to open up the gate for the worker to come in at 7 in the winter, or 7:30, and I had to start mixing the food to feed the parrots. So we were kind of like in this day to day. And also in summer, it got even worse because I was feeding all these little chicks. Now imagine we had a lot, I don't even know, like 200 or something, little tiny parrots, from just bred out of the egg till, you know, almost ready to go, having to hand rear them or keep them tame and all that stuff. And I love parrots. I love birds. I love birding wild birds, but I also love parrots. We've got a parrot now as well. But just stuck in that routine, you know, to now we're in J Bay. I think what helped was the lockdown didn't allow us technically to go to the beach. So we kind of stuck in the house. That made the transition easier. But even after the lockdowns were lifted, I was so shocked at, why do I feel guilty if I go for a walk at 10 a.m. because it's a beautiful morning and the wind's not blowing in J Bay, which is significant. It's wonderful weather. I can quickly pop out for a snorkel, come back, have a shower, get back to work on my computer, do stuff for clients, and you know, kind of more live the life that you want to live. And I think, sorry, a part of the messaging that really spoke to me was about not living a deferred life. And I know that Tim Ferriss speaks a lot about all that stuff. And I bought his book, The 4-Hour Work Week. But applying it was hard in the beginning. And even now sometimes, but I think it's getting easier and it's becoming more fun to kind of tell yourself, if I take an hour every day to just do something that I would have done one day when I retired, you know, whatever that may
Yes.
be,
Yeah.
it's okay to do it, or 2 hours, even 3 hours, you know, in a day.
Well, I'm glad we've jumped into this because there's phases, right? So we talked about the beginning phase, which is what was happening for you and Mandy, where you were like, no, there's got to be something else. We need a business model that we can do online, you know, because Mandy stays home most of the day with your 2 sons and you wanted to be able to be by the ocean. So the first part of the journey, you know, I use this word journey a lot, and I'm using the word safari a lot lately, which actually means journey originally in Swahili. And the first part of the journey is like believing that that's possible, like actually seeing other people who have that business model and thinking, okay, maybe this is something that can work. And then the second part of the journey is getting those skills, right? And that can feel steep and tough, like we talked about. And then the third part of the journey, which may feel unrelatable if you're still here, is like, then you've got to allow yourself to actually have the flexibility and the freedom. So it's not like it's not a switch where like from one day to the next, you're like, you know, someone who's comfortable lying on the beach. There's this journey of realizing, okay, you know what, I'm going to only work in the afternoon today. Or I'm going to go to the beach at 10 o'clock because I can. And then the sort of final part is finding the groove and the comfort and the permission of being able to enjoy the fruit of the journey that you've been on. So I'm so glad that you brought that up.
That's definitely true. And it's so amazing for me to realize that we are starting to move into the space where, you know, it feels more okay. And what I actually love doing that I don't do enough lately is just taking my laptop, going to a coffee shop. My insurance lady, I spoke to her the other day and said, I need to update a couple of things with you guys. She's like, do you also take your laptop to the coffee shop because her son's got an e-commerce business? I'm like, yes, I do. She's like, we need to talk about this and make sure your things are right. But, you know, I don't always think about those things. It's so nice.
Well, I'm glad insurance companies are getting so used to this way that it's actually like a thing now.
It is. And it's so lovely. Like there's so many amazing coffee shops in J-Bay, and there's a culture here. There's a vibe of working remotely. We've even got a co-working space here. And I'm afraid if I would go there, I would start chatting to everyone. I won't get anything done. But I want to start going there a little bit more, work there for a day, work in my office. I'm in my office right now. It's a lovely office. I'm very excited about being here every day. And just getting out more to the coffee shops and working there sometimes, just because it gets the creativity going. I think that's one of the problems of working in the same space all the time, is staying creative. But it's still, you know, it comes, but that's kind of just giving that permission to do that more and just enjoy, you know, the lifestyle a little bit more. And we're getting into that space now, which is very exciting.
Yes. Well, I know you guys got to, I mean, if we just summarize, you were working long hours before, you made the gigantic decision to join a high-ticket, high-touch program, which was a huge decision for you. You guys had to move mountains to be able to join as a couple. You started the journey of learning the skills. You went into this crazy lockdown. The day after you decided to move to Jeffrey's Bay, you launched your digital business, and fast forward a few years down the line, you're just allowing yourselves to enjoy the lifestyle of your location independent income. But it's not just you, it's also your wife. She was in the program as well, and she started this beautiful membership, which she's been diligently working on slowly over the years. But I want to jump into her story a little bit with you now, because one, you run her ads like you do a lot of South African successful online business owners. But two, I really feel like her effort and her work and the asset she's made over the last few years is compounding at the moment.
Oh, big time.
Tell us.
Okay, let me give you an example. When she started, she had about 24 people in her Facebook group, and on her email list, the same people. Some of them were family and friends. And,
like everyone starts, but that can feel like deflating, right?
Well, it was we did the whole thing. We did the launch. We went through the steps and everything. She got 2 sales for her first ever course, and that felt phenomenal. You know, we were still living in Bethlehem. It was December, and she made 2 sales. And I mean, the people that bought, we're still in touch with them, still friends. And the one lady became an affiliate for her, you know, the next year, made some sales, and you know that it's amazing how things unfolded. But the next year we didn't do that much for her stuff because we just settling in J-Bay. But then we started having little 5-day challenges, and we built funnels and tested them and all that stuff. So we kind of went through a testing phase, trying different things. And the first thing that struck a chord with her community was doing like a 5-day, and we didn't call it a challenge, we call it a boot camp. Just change the name, but it's the same thing. And there it started taking off, getting some more sales. And then we did it periodically. And now this bootcamp, she ended it off on Friday. It's still, you know, we're still in that after the live training phase now, where it's technically like, you know, people can buy. Her membership's always open, so someone can buy it anytime, but we've got fast action bonuses for people that buy by Thursday. That's our urgency scarcity mechanism that we're using, and they go for that. So that's cool to get a lot of people in quickly, and then kind of, you know, after the boot camp, take it easy just with her membership ladies that joined. But it's like this launch, I mean, she's got a post in a Facebook group to say that says post your homework for the day, like your projects, your day 1 project below. And that post had 2,200 comments underneath. And I was like, I don't know what's going on.
That's amazing, is what's going on. She's compounding. She's put in the work, and she's found her formula, and she's applying it, rinse and repeat, and people are loving it, and they're feeling served. And 2,200 comments on the first post in your bootcamp is truly phenomenal.
It is. And people are replying to, you know, the emails that we send are like automated, and it's like, day 1 was amazing, and we got a screenshot of certain things in there, and people reply to this email saying, this is so amazing, thank you so much, this means so much to me, you're helping me in so many ways, from beating depression to finding my creative spark again, to so many emails that we're getting and comments that we're getting, and gratitude comments everywhere. It's like, and even when we run ads, people are tagging one another in the ad comments below. It's going, our ads go viral, and it's just, she's just found, I think, a way to serve her niche, her people, that they absolutely get blown away by the value. And that is why they join the membership too, because they don't want to miss out on that. They want to keep being in that place. And that's the magic that is happening. And I mean, I think it's just also just a testimony of who she is, and her care and love for the people. It's not just about making sales and making money, but she's got a genuine heart for her audience.
Absolutely. And she's developed a beautiful product. I mean, there's a year's worth of journey inside her membership for her members. So it's a real no-brainer for someone to get involved. But you were sharing some, from a business perspective, you were sharing some numbers before we got on the call, that already, before you've gone into the enrollment period, you've had people joining that has more than covered your ad spend, and you are, it's actually a financially beneficial launch. It's not just because Mandy's kind-hearted, it's a proper business.
It is. It definitely is. And if I just think about the expenses, we had obviously the ad spend. We only spent about 4,200 Rand on this launch. The cost per lead was so low that we got over 1,000 new people onto a list.
Amazing.
Her
That's
Facebook
amazing.
group grew by 750, 800 people because of just spending 4,265 Rand on ads. And she even made sales before we sent the first email for day 1. Like, this lady came into the Facebook group and started looking at, you know, things in the Facebook group and found a link to a membership because it's always open, and just paid for lifetime access even before we started. And That was so magical because we took that money and we could go to the scrapbooking shop here in town, and we actually bought amazing gifts to give away to people that engaged the
Wow.
most in the launch.
Wow.
And also we are testing out affiliates for the first time, really. And we bought prizes for a top affiliate that got the most leads in and that gets the most sales after everything's over. So we took that money, spent it on that, and everything's already covered. All the expenses are already covered. And we today, I'm sending the first promo email, which is the email that tells them more about the fast action bonuses. And it's not just about the projects for each day, you know, it's literally just telling them about the offer. And we already have 23 sales in before that email goes out, which is, it's amazing.
That is truly amazing. That is truly amazing. I mean, from a formula rinse and repeat point of view, that is unprecedented. It's like you have to know the rules to be able to decide to break them, and that's what's happened. You've got sales before you've even officially said, hey, buy this.
Yes,
23 of them.
She just mentioned the membership every day, like seeding it, you know. And she announced a new fast action bonus on Thursday, and that's about it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm literally, I mean, I've got so many, I've been interviewing people for years, and I literally I'm like speechless. I actually don't know what to even ask you next, because that is so incredible. Do you know what I was thinking while you were talking is, you know, the first interview in this series now was with, or one of the first ones was with a friend of mine who started a membership and a low ticket course. So by low ticket, in South African terms, that means like, you know, 100 Rand, 200 Rand. It's like not a very expensive membership to be in. How much is Mandy's?
Well, the monthly membership is 169 Rand a month, because we've got the South African setup going with Pay Fast.
Yes. So that's typical, like low ticket 160, 50, you know, 200 or less. And I was just thinking while you were talking that I was speaking with Lean Girl, who is Angelique Dauberman, who started her low ticket products in South Africa in 2018. Okay, and she kind of grew 2018, 2019, but in 2020, she just started going, this whole reason why people start this business, exponential. Yeah. And she shared on the call last week that she's had 11,000 people go through her program. And as you were talking, I was like, in 2 years' time, Riaan and I are going to be on a live about how Mandy's membership hit its 2020 Lean Girl curve, and she's gonna have thousands and thousands of people in this membership in a year or two from now. I can see it.
Yeah, it's definitely going that direction. And what we've also realized, and this is just a little bit more on the technical side, we've realized that the stickiness of a membership, I mean, how long they stay in general, taking all the members until they, you know, move on, was about 8 months. And we decided to make it 12 months. And the way we did that is that we told them, listen, we're not going to be like Netflix. We're not going to keep charging you after 12 months. Then you get lifetime access and you don't have to pay a cent anymore. And that moved, it stretched it to a 12-month, you know, churn rate. The stickiness of the membership increased over time, which is going to increase the profits over time. It does mean it becomes a little bit more like a course-based business where you've got to replenish your members all the time, which you have to do for membership anyway. Yeah, and we ending up with a much happier audience that purchased, because a lot of them have lifetime access. I mean, the ones that bought a year ago all have lifetime access now. And we also have a price point where then it becomes like a course-based business where we say, if you pay, I think ours is 1,690 Rand. If you pay that, you get lifetime access. And a lot of people take that option. So it's almost like we've got a combination of a monthly membership and a course. And we made a hybrid. We broke some rules, and it just increased the profitability of the business by so much.
And the sense of value and satisfaction that the members have. And
yes.
each year after they've had that, they get to participate again in real time as they go through Mandy's steps, because she's got this whole, she's got this thing where they go through different pillars of life. What's the right language? The
Yeah, so
cornerstones.
we've got 12 life domains. It's based on, what did they call, is it called the Wheel of Life or Wheel of
Yes.
Priorities or something? So we just took that, the 12, there's models that have 7, some models have 9. The best one we saw was 12, and it made sense because there's 12 months. So and every one of the 12 has 4 lessons in it. So let's use an example of, let's say, the physical health or body domain. Then there will be a lesson about nutrition, and there will be one about, goals for nutrition, goals for fitness, goals for, little things like drinking more water, how you're going to do that, and you make an art journal project about that goal. And when they page through their art journals, which Mandy really promotes for them to do, it's like seeing these visual reminders of the commitments they made, the decisions they made, and the goals they have. And just it's a consistent reminder, and it just makes it visual. And because they created it, it deepens that visual thing. And if you look at things like neuroscience and all of that, it really makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to make something visual, because it speaks to your subconscious mind. And it's just, there's such an amazing interconnectedness with mindset and art in that membership, and the way she laid it out. So they can always go back. And what Mandy's also started doing is she's been spotlighting lessons. So she's got the whole thing created, except I think for 1 or 2 lessons that she wants to redo. But now what she's doing is she's going live every 2 weeks in the members only Facebook group and spotlighting a lesson and putting a twist on what she's already done. So all the members that have already done that lesson can redo it in a different
something
way.
fresh. Yeah, cool.
Making it fresh, yes. And let's say some of them have learned new techniques, like, because you could sting inks and stamps, and you've got stencils and watercolor paints and acrylic paints. It's a whole new world, I promise you. And as they grow in their technique, they can do the same lesson, but using their stamps and their inks and all that stuff. And
wow,
it's just, that way it stays alive. It never really gets stale. And it took us a while to figure out that that's just going to be the best way. She offered like Zoom calls. Nobody really came, and they struggled with the tech. And now they can just do a lesson with her every 2 weeks live.
So it's been a big fat experiment, and the results are in, and you found your formula and it's working. I mean, as you were talking about a membership, and I'm like the last person on the planet to do crafts or even follow my 12 domains, I was like, maybe I should join this membership. It's very compelling, this idea that you go on a journey. So she's definitely landed on a perfect ingredient, and I just can't wait to see how this thing expands. I mean, you guys visited here on the North Coast, I don't know, a couple of months ago now. And it felt like it was a bit stagnant at that point. And I had a session with Mandy and you, and like really forced you to redo some of the messaging and the sales page. Did that have like a injection into Mandy really focusing on it again?
Yes, I think the change this year, like she did have a good year last year, but we made the mistake of not looking at the numbers. Okay. And that's something that we were like, this whole thing felt a bit wishy-washy. And after we visited you guys in the North Coast, we were like, okay, let's actually look at the numbers and see how much we put into it and how much we got out. And we were shocked, because the ad spend was like 16,000, but what we got out of the business in the space of a year was like a lot more, like 5, 6, 7 times more, and compounding, because some members are still paying. And we were like, okay. She took a break for 6 months. And this is also the beauty of online business. She took a 6-month break because she started homeschooling our oldest son, which is something that we really want to do. And the transition was a bit rough in the sense of, running these boot camps and the launches, because it's still work that you need to do, and a lot goes into it. But she gave herself the permission, and I said, it's fine, you can take the time off. And
Mhm.
after now, she came back after 6 months, things exploded. And I think
Amazing.
that's part of the beauty of it. You can actually, if you can, your life is set up in such a way, you can take a break from certain things and do them again and do them better. But having that sales page that's properly done now, we had like wishy-washy sales pages and we still made sales. But
Yes.
it's a beautiful sales page. I still want to make some tweaks on it, but I think it's doing pretty well.
Yes. And you worked off one of my templates.
Yes,
Hey,
I did. I did.
it's a good template, and you did an excellent job. And I'm so glad you guys decided to just lean back into this membership. It's just amazing. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see the growth. And this is the second boot camp for the year after taking a 6 months break. And I must say, I'm really excited. I told Mandy when we were running ads for this one, last year we got leads for about 12 Rand a lead. This year we're getting leads for 3.50 Rand, and the quality is definitely either the same or even better. So that's just what I'm trying to tell people. Now's the time. If you want to start a course-based business or membership and you want to run Facebook ads, now is really the time. And the thing is, you don't need to be fancy. The best ads right now, people are tired of being sold to and marketed to, these persuasion tactics that focuses on the fear. And people love things that are light, that are fun. This is all we're doing, is making it as much fun for them as possible, cramming in a lot of value into it, and it works. And the ad copy is so basic, well, for us, it's basic. If you've studied copywriting a little bit, then it's definitely, it's basic as you can get. There's no major things coming into it at all. And I find a lot of my coaching clients that do dark training and things that are not really considered to be like a major niche or anything, and they're doing very well. And it's basic. It's, nothing seriously markety about it.
That's amazing. Okay, the last little segment of the Riaan and Tamron show today that I want to talk about is I want to ask you, if you had a time machine and you went back to July 2019, which is when you were deciding to do my program, what would you say to yourself? Would you do it again? Let's hear that kind of reflection.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I haven't thought about that. I would definitely do it again. I won't even have, I won't even think twice about it. And I'm sure that you've been talking about your crazy offer. If we had that offer in 2019, I'm sure that we would have had traction.
You would have
a
jumped
lot
in
quicker.
with both feet. Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so it used to be called V-Stars. Okay, it was double the price in 2019. That's worth saying. It was also double the time. Okay. But what I learned from, we've been talking about Mandy learning and adjusting. What I learned from the first round of V-Stars is that a 6-month program felt like a real marathon for people. So what I did was like, okay, how can I collapse time? I love that you used that phrase when you shared it on your page. And one of the serious ways to collapse time is to actually put some done for you tech into the program, because that was like a huge barrier. So part of the Freedom Safari now is me paying somebody to connect all your tech for you, because I know that it's such a huge thing. So if that was of course, Mandy wouldn't have made her membership because she didn't struggle with tech. If you guys didn't have to struggle with tech, and you probably wouldn't have become a tech and ads expert. But if you're wanting to sell digital products and an online course, it's going to help a lot. I love that you used the phrase, it's a crazy offer. It really is crazy. Like, there's so much. What was your reaction when you saw what the 2023 version looks like?
Yeah. When I looked at that Google Doc for the first time, I was like, yo, I want to join all over again.
Yes, when I put it down. Look, I think it's worth saying, if you don't know what the journey is like, it's hard to tell how valuable some things are. But what you and I know is that the hard parts, the sticking points, are all covered in the program. From learning what it takes, obviously building my own business, working with students. You and I have been working as a team now 2021, 22, 23, and even 2020, so like 4 years almost. And I mean, your figures are probably higher than mine, but I did the maths recently, and in the past 44 months, which is basically since COVID, I've been involved in launches across 17 different niches at least. I mean, I didn't do a forensic analysis. I kind of counted out on my fingers. Across at least 25 different launches. Okay. And from all of that time, I figured out what people need. They need templates. They need emergency calls to say, hey, I'm panicking, I'm flapping, I'm this, I'm that. That one-on-one support that you talked about that was so meaningful in the beginning for you on the program, to be able to put these rituals in place and have calls where we could talk about them. The templates, which you just talked about using for some of Mandy's her sales page now, and a community, the tech, and then the last piece, ads, like having to be able to do ads, which is the piece that you're bringing to the program. So yeah, like what would you say to someone who's been I've seen there's been quite a few people dancing around the replay. I was looking this morning, lots of people watching. I've had lots of comments in my inbox with questions. Like, what would you say to somebody who's thinking, do I have what it takes to do this? Should I do it?
Wow. I would say, if we think about where we are now, it's beginning of September. It just makes a lot of sense, because imagine going into next year with a whole new set of skills, a tech setup, a possibility to earn an extra income. It's phenomenal. It literally is. And with so much being done for you, and the experience from us having to struggle. Well, when I came in, we started using Kartra, which was already an all-in-one marketing system. We didn't have to duct tape things together like they did before then. But now even it's grown more than that. So when I came in, and I could just start using Kartra, which is a very expensive American platform, which we still love using. So this is why I'm using it. But for South Africans coming in now, what they're getting now compared to then is phenomenal. And what you can get, like I said, moving into next year is just mind-blowing. It's like I say, it's a no-brainer opportunity. Learning those skills, getting those things right. And even on the ad setup side, I've done a lot of, I still pay for ads courses now, because I love snooping at what people are teaching their students, because I'm also launching my own thing. I'm paying for ad memberships to stay on top of what people are saying, what they're doing. So I'm trying to get into little mastermind groups and paid communities and stuff. That's a lot of stuff to do. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking all of that and putting it into, like, you get a PDF, for example, to get your whole tech setup sorted on the ad side. And that, so you can just put the ads on. And then on top of that, there's the training of what is the most condensed thing that you need to know to get your ads running. Like really condensing. And then that's what I feel about your program as well. It's just taking so much, bringing it so together and condensing it to what is needed to get started quickly. So that's why it's a no-brainer for me. Like, collapsing time is definitely the word, the phrase.
That's amazing. Thank you, Riaan. Yeah, exactly. Collapsing time. Your tech done. I forgot to talk about Fundi tools, the South African system. So for those of you who are brand new and maybe watching us chat for the first time, I used to use only a very expensive American system where your software, once you get to like year 2 or year 3, your software subscription becomes really expensive. And now I have a South African-based system. If you want to just talk about that for a sec, and what it does.
Sure. Well, just to give you an idea, when we started with Kartra, and obviously living in South Africa, Kartra only integrates with Stripe, PayPal, and 2 other American payment gateways that are not available in South Africa. So we had to really scratch our heads and tried a lot of different things to make this work, because Mandy's audience is South African. So we ended up adding another piece of software on top of it, which is also cool, but we're paying a lot for the software and we can kind of afford it. But when you're starting out, it's hard to pay these subscriptions. I mean, imagine missing a payment and it's just, this extra stress that you don't need. And just to be able to integrate PayFast, which we're using for her South African payment subscriptions, we had to get more tech added onto what we're already using. So it just becomes like this big thing. And what I really appreciate with Fundi is you already get that. You can charge in rands, you pay subscription fees in rands. So if the dollar rand, whatever it does, it stays constant. It's you can integrate with PayFast and PayStack. You don't have to have the hassle of setting up a bank account in the US, which I'm grateful we didn't go that way, but that was probably a consideration of mine for a year or two. You don't have to stress about PayPal and integrating your PayPal with your FNB with a workaround to your bank account. And it's all these crazy things that we had to learn and that we had to do is kind of wiped off the table.
It's totally off the table.
It's insane.
Exactly.
It
if you haven't started yet, you don't know what a palaver it is. But trust us, I got tired of people sending me a message saying, "Hey, how do I take payments?" Like, I've even got a YouTube video. Like, the bad news is that if you're using an American software system, you can't take payments. Like, you've got to open a US company, you've got to do all this nonsense. So I personally pay a big fat monthly fee to an American piece of software that I then customized for South Africans, so you can use it in South Africa, charge in rands, get paid in rands into your South African bank account, and you only pay like 299 rand a month, as opposed to like 3,000 rand a month, which is what you pay when you use an American software. And inside the Freedom Safari, you get 6 months of that subscription for free. So you don't even pay at all for 6 months. Like, that is so batty. I just want people to succeed. I just want people to get started. I want to be able to see them like I watch you and Mandy and what's happening in your lives. I just don't want the barrier of tech and expensive software to be the problem. So that's why I've done that batty thing. I'm still paying that amount, but for you guys. Like, that's literally just the truth.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And honestly, I've looked everywhere. I've even used like little apps that people start up and then they can't sustain them and they kind of take them off the market again, just to be able to do what Fundi can do. And the price for Fundi is, I mean, you won't get that price anywhere in South Africa. So even if you like getting it for free for 6 months, after 6 months, you're not going to get ripped off at all. It's going to still be the most affordable funnel platform.
It is for sure. It's for sure the most affordable. It is for sure. It is literally in the whole world. You're not going to find something that cost effective, and it's included in the Freedom Safari. And your amazing stuff you just talked about from ads is included in the Freedom Safari. And of course, one-on-one time with me is included in the Freedom Safari. Like right now, if you want to work with me one-on-one, my wing woman retainer is 15 grand a month. And it's included in the Freedom Safari. And of course, your video library, and of course, your template. I'm like, guys, if you're not prepared to get started with that, then I know you actually never going to get started. That's what I started from. I was like, what would make this so easy to make somebody get off the fence and be like, right, now's my time. By the end of this year, I'm going to have all my assets in place. I'm going to have this rinse and repeat system there so that I can test it over and run and launch and launch and launch and launch and launch. And that's why the other membership, which is included, my Moola Club membership, is 6 months. Because once we finish the Freedom Safari, you don't just like do nothing. You stay in my world, in my membership, and launch again and again and again and again, because that's how this model works.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you added other things as well, like what is it? The actual safari and the
Yeah, there's an app. So what I was thinking is, okay, well, then you get to next year and you've had this wonderful experience and you've had this beautiful community, and now you're ready to like map out your next level. Like, what am I going to do for the rest of 2024, and how's this business going to grow? So I have put in an in-person actual retreat mastermind in a private game reserve in the bush in Swaziland as the pay in full bonus. So if you pay in full, we gather in the bush together with all your accommodation, food, and business masterminding with me and everyone else to say, okay, how am I going to scale this thing I've just built?
My goodness. Can I just, say something here about this? I mean, when we were in the North Coast, we spent half a morning together just mapping out my stuff, because I was also in a space with Ad Freedom Academy, like this thing and maybe that thing. And I spoke to this coach and that coach and compared models and whatever. And I was like in a confused state about how to launch this better into the world. And after an hour or two, it was mapped out on a whiteboard and on a table with a pen. But it was the whole plan.
Yeah.
It made sense. It made so much sense. And you know what? We came back and I thought, well, we spoke about combining my two offers that I currently had. I had two coaching offers, which was confusing already. I had Ad Freedom Academy, which I wanted to launch, and I'm going to launch it soon. And then I had some other stuff going on in my head. And then just from that clarity, when I came back from the North Coast, I realized that, well, let me do it a bit backwards and launch the coaching offer first, because that will give me feedback so that I can create my membership, because we were speaking about the two. And within literally 2 weeks, I had a sales page for it, an application funnel built, everything, just because of that clarity I got from that time we spent together mapping this out. So if anybody is like, that freedom safari, that safari trip to Swaziland is going to be amazing, because it's worth
the whole program price. I mean, that's the thing. You can't go on a 3-day business retreat for 20 grand in the bush in a private game reserve anywhere.
That's insane. It's insane. And it added, I think, up to where I started till now, it probably added like 70,000 rand to our business. Just that meeting,
that session where we said, listen, because one of my real, everyone's got like the thing that's their superpower. My superpower is to listen to someone and they tell me this and they tell me that and they tell me that, and I can say, that's bullshit, focus on that, do this. Like, that's just my superpower, and I can hear what you say. And that's why I focus so much on strategy, and I have strategy sessions, because I listened to you and I heard you out and what you were confused. I was like, no, do this. Yeah, like you say, we had it on the top half of a whiteboard. It wasn't even like the whole whiteboard. It was like, here's your 3 things, go off, do. And to your credit, you did. I mean, your coaching offer is a brilliant offer. It's also a no-brainer offer. And if it's added 70 grand to your life since you were here like a few months ago, that's amazing. So I'm so happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. And that is exactly the kind of thing we'll be doing together on the bush retreat. And again, if you haven't got a business yet, like, you can't fully feel the weight of how important it is for someone who's done it before to hear you out, to listen to what you have to say and say, no, bullshit, focus, go. And when you actually go off and do it, how the results can show up. So I'm glad you wanted to zone in on this bonus, which is an in-person bush retreat. Of course, there'll be, game drives and elephants and sundowners and G&Ts and all that stuff, but there'll also be business in the bush. And that's just included in the program. So you're basically working with me from now until April next year.
I don't know if people are holding off because they think it's too crazy, or but
Well,
really,
I'm technically officially, so right now, if you're watching, I ran some webinars last week that are available till tonight. I don't know when you're going to watch this, but if you're watching it on Sunday, which is when Riaan and I are talking, the replays are still available where I take you through the business model. And then from now until Thursday, you have a chance to enroll in the program, and then the program is starting the semester. The Freedom Safari semester is starting. So you've got some time, and it does seem too crazy, but it's the one time where if something seems too good to be true, it's not true. It's actually true. I want you to start. I want you to get out of indecision and confusion. I want you to get off the free YouTube fence. I want you to stop worrying about tech. I want you to just start and build your assets together with a mind who's been through an unthinkable amount of launches in the past few years.
I also had a thought this morning. I was thinking about courses versus other things, you know, like I often, it always happens when I'm seeing all these reels on Instagram, like side hustle this and do this because it works. And then they, you know, like there's so many side hustle reels going on Instagram, and a lot of them teach affiliate marketing, which is a model that we both love anyway, or as well. But then I thought, like, what is better? You can sell someone else's course or product and you get a percentage, but what if you have your own and you get everything from that sale? It is just, you know, weighing all the things up with one another. Having a course to sell is still amazing, and you can do it organically or you can do it with paid advertising. It doesn't matter. Like these people saying you've got to choose between the two, that's absolute rubbish. You can do both, and both are easy if you know what to do and do those specific things that work. So it's like, it's still a no-brainer business model compared to the other side hustle things out there. And, you know, it's just, it still makes a lot of sense. If anybody's been wondering whether they should do it versus doing another thing, this is still a good thing to do. And it doesn't have to be the only thing you do. You can still do the other things, but this is something you can literally get off the ground within months.
Yeah, you can. I mean, yesterday I got a notification on Facebook saying, well done, you've had 1,000 reactions in the last week or whatever. And the reality is, you know, I spent yesterday doing shopping for my Airbnb, and then I had the little thought saying, oh, I wonder how many people are watching my replay. And then I remembered, oh, there's an ad running reminding them. And I was like, oh, the ads are doing the work, you know, and my posts are doing the work. Yes, you've got to make the posts, or you've got to hire somebody to make them, and you've got to collaborate. But the model of ads being able to run, or your organic content just getting reacted to out there while you are present on the beach or in the shopping center buying a gas canister or whatever it is that you're up to, like, it's still such a no-brainer business model, being able to leverage technology and automation and advertising and video and all the beautiful things that are involved in a digital business.
It is. And even in Mandy's launch now, like I come back and I check my emails after being out this morning, and I'm like, okay, there's some more sales come through. And it's part of the fun, you know.
That's like the holy grail. That little sentence you just said is like the holy grail. Like, oh, I just checked my emails and I just saw I had made a couple of sales. I'm like,
yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, Riaan, any closing tips? I think we've had a big, fat, nice chat. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your knowledge and your expertise and your encouragement and all that wonderful stuff. You are living proof that taking the terrifying decision to work at it, consistency, and learn the skills could mean a life that is totally different today than it was just a few short years ago. So thank you for being that living proof. And thank you for everything that you've become and that you are for me and the South Africans and people who run ads. What would you say to someone who's sitting thinking, I'm tempted, what would you say to them?
Definitely compared to where I was would be Stop getting lost in the noise, because there's a lot of it. People are saying things because they want you to do their thing, right? So there's high ticket versus low ticket versus courses versus, ads versus organic versus DM strategies. Marketers are making noise, right? And they will forever be making noise.
Yes.
And what I would say is unplug from that noise and just take a step and walk a path with somebody who's got the experience and the community and, the offer that collapses that time that you save, and do it, because that noise is going to keep you're not going to get off that hamster wheel, because a lot of people are saying a lot of different things online. So if you're somebody who's scrolling all the time and you're watching the videos on YouTube and you are kind of a bit lost and not sure, the best way to unplug from that whole setup is to commit to one process. And it's only 3 months and another couple of months after that. It is not your whole life. It's literally investing that time and the money now. And we didn't have the money when I told Tamron, like, I want to learn lead generation. I'm in, but I don't know how. And we started, putting the intention out there, and we putting the faith out there, and we really just eventually, like, almost not even number 99, like past midnight, we got the money through, and we were like, okay, cool, we've got it. We can do this. And that investment that you're going to make is truly that. It is an investment into learning the skills, collapsing the time, having that possibility. And there's literally, these things can seem scary when you're in that place, but take it from somebody who was there. I was literally in that place myself, and it's definitely worth it to do it. And obviously I can say that there's nobody else in South Africa that you should work with in Tamron if you're South African. That's just my honest opinion.
Thank you, Riaan. That's so wonderful to hear that from you. And if you know anything about Riaan, you can't get him to get too excited and enthusiastic and speak anything unrealistic. My favorite thing about you is, like, I'll ask you something and you'll answer, it depends. Because you're the most honest, like, never hype, anti-hype, is that a word? The person I've ever encountered. So that really means a lot coming from you. And it's such a privilege to see what you and Mandy have built, and that you decided to come on the journey, the safari, the never-ending winding road of fulfilling our dreams and spending time with our families and helping others and serving others and building our business and our dream life, and not waiting until we retire to do that. So I really just want to thank you for now, today, and also just for being such an example to everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Tamron, and also for being part of our journey of not waiting till we are one day retired. We used to come to Jeffrey's Bay on holiday, for those who don't know, and now we're living here, and we can hop out to the beach instead of taking our bonus that we saved so hard for every year to come here for a week and a half. It's just magic. It's fantastic, and thank you for being part of that journey and making it possible.
A pleasure. It's priceless. And on that note, I think it's time to go spend some time on the beach with the fam dab. So
yeah,
I'm
it's a
going to say
lovely
goodbye.
day. Lovely day here. I'm looking out my window. I can actually see the ocean on the side here, so quite exciting to go.
That's amazing. Okay, guys, if you're watching this, if you haven't watched the replay yet and it's still Sunday, go and watch it right now. If it's not Sunday anymore and you're catching this between now and Thursday, then take a look at the link below this video to check out what's inside Freedom Safari. This is my invitation to you to join Riaan and I. Riaan teaches inside the Freedom Safari everything he's learned about ads, and obviously I do everything else. And my encouragement is to just start. And once you've done that, go and enjoy whatever fun and nature and leisure is around you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.